One. A very good evening, everyone. On behalf of the History Enthusiasts Association and the Department of English, Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, I extend a warm welcome to all our participants, students, and fellow scholars, knowledge seekers who are joining us for the fourth lecture in our ongoing webinar series, Beyond the Archives, Locating Indian History in Oral Narratives. As we have journeyed through the series so far, we have had three lectures, each opening a window into the ways Indian history has been remembered, retold, and performed, not just written. We began by reflecting on oral traditions as living archives, then moved through the rich world of tribal arts. We saw Baba Pithora's tradition. We saw storytelling and performative dimensions of community memory. With every session, the central idea that the past is not static, that it breathes, sings, and moves with its people has become clearer. Today's lecture, Voices of the Divine, Oral Histories and the Role of Tottampattu in Theyyam, invites us into one of the most striking expressions of India's living heritage. Theyyam, as we know, is not merely a ritual performance, it is a form of social memory, a dialogue between the human and the divine, between history and myth. The Tottampattu, the oral narrative that precedes and accompanies each performance, is where that memory finds its voice. It is poetry, it is genealogy, and it is cosmology. And in many ways, it is history sung in devotion. In exploring the role of Tottampattu, we are not only looking at Kerala's vibrant ritual landscape, but also asking fundamental questions about how knowledge, identity, and spirituality are preserved outside the written word, and how the performer becomes the text, how the body becomes an archive, and how memory is read, but it's not just read but enacted. So, to guide us through these questions, we are delighted to have with us Ms. Rutu N. Raj, research scholar at the Department of Ancient History and Archaeology and Museology, Maharaja's College, University of Mysore. On behalf of both the organizations, Ritu, I welcome you. Her research bridges performance, ritual, and oral traditions, focusing particularly on how Theyyam and Tottampattu serve as vehicles of cultural and historical consciousness. I also welcome on this occasion Ms. Nidhi Katti, founder vice president of the History Enthusiasts. I welcome Professor Kavita Kusugal, head of Department of English, Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, and Deepak Lokhande, research scholar from the Department of English. I also welcome the office bearers of both the organizations and most importantly, all the viewers who have joined us through this webinar series and have been actively participating. So with this, I now request Mr. Deepak Lokhande to introduce today's speaker, Rutu N. Raj. Over to you, Deepak.
Good evening, all. It is my pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, Rutu N. Raj, Madam. So, Madam is a truly accomplished scholar whose academic journey bridges the world of art and ancient history. She holds a bachelor degree in visual arts and a specialization in art history and aesthetics, and a master of arts in archaeology and ancient history. She is currently a research scholar in the Department of Ancient History and Archaeology and Museology at Maharaja College, University of Mysore, where she is pursuing her PhD. Madam is not only dedicated to her research, but actively engages with the broader academic community, having attended around 15 international and national conferences. She also has contributed significantly to her field of study with 7 publications. In recognition of her impressive work, she recently received the Best Youngest Research Scholar Award at an international conference. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to our today's speaker, Ms. Rutu N. Raj, Madam. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for the introduction. I now request Rutu to start her talk on Voices of the Divine, Oral Histories, and the role of Tottampattu in Theyyam. Over to you, Rutu.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste to everyone. Thank you, Manali and Deepak, for such a wonderful welcome. As Deepak introduced myself, I'm currently pursuing PhD under Professor Dr. Rohita Ishwar Shastri from the Department of Ancient History and Archaeology and Museology, Maharaja's College, University of Mysore. And I'm very excited, first of all, to be part once again to share this platform in history enthusiasts. And I hope with today's presentation, I'm gonna take all of you to the world of Theyyam and the fascinating culture. And I hope all of you will enjoy the presentation. So I'll start sharing my presentation. Just Manali, a request, just notify me if the screen is visible. Is it visible?
Yes.
Oh.
You could just put it on full screen. Yeah, perfect.
Is it okay? Okay. Okay. So first of all, I'm very happy that I've got an opportunity to present on Theyyam, especially during this season, that is Tulam Masam on October 27th. Will be Tottampattu, where Theyyam will actually start. And now Kannur, Kasaragod region, the North Malabar is in preparation of celebrating and doing these ritual traditions. So I'll take the blessings and grace of all the Daivams and will start this presentation. So today's topic for today's presentation is Voices of the Divine, Oral Histories, and the Role of Tottampattu in Thailand. A study of ritual memory, divine performance through oral tradition in North Kerala. What I will be focusing on today's presentation is that how Tottampattu acts as a living archive of oral histories in Thailand, and what are the nature, significance, sacred chants, and how these totem patus are considered to be sacred chants, and then how they are they form in the world of verbal and oral records. Also, how these totem patu reflects as they're nothing but the reflections of ancient minds, and to understand the role of totem patu in Theyyam and what significance it holds in Theyyam. And also the lecture will deal with different aspects such as how these songs, these divine songs, reflects on social structures, belief patterns, symbolic structures of samudayas, and also society, how society is viewed through these totem pattern. And definitely, this presentation would not end without mentioning the contributions of Tottampattu in reconstructing the cultural memory, as Manali herself introduced, and then the cultural contributions of Tottampattu in the realm of oral histories. Now, before jumping into Tottampattu, I would definitely want to give a brief and a very crisp introduction about Theyyam, because it is very much important to understand what is Theyyam and who are the one who's performing Theyyam in order to understand Tottampattu specifically. So, Theyyam literally means Daivam, God in Malayalam. And Theyyam is performed in the North Malabar region of Kerala, that is Kasaragod, Kannur, Wayanad, and Kozhikode. Largely, you could say Kannur and Kasaragod Theyyams are more popular, and then they're very eye-catching, and then got a lot of attention from outsiders as well. And then Theyyam or Thayyatam literally means dance of God or God's dance. And all the devotees will gather for this performance, and then they show immense uh, dedication and respect towards Daivam, because they are considered to be the living gods of North Malabar. And they also they these ritual dances are not just traditions or cultural aspects of North Malabar, but it is also considered that the society or the people of North Malabar, they consider these gods or these ritual as the protector of their land. So it is very much dynamic in nature, and the people who performs Theyyam belongs to particular samudayas only. Not everybody can perform Theyyam, and specific samudayas or the communities perform Theyyams, and there are thousands of Theyyams. Each Theyyams are classified under different communities. And as I stated before, Theyyam, it starts on annually on the 10th day of Tulam Masam, which is a Malayalam month in Kerala. So every 10th day of Tulam Masam, Theyyam will start. So this is the right time where Theyyam will be starting. And then there are different masam also, Karkatakam Masam, from like March to June, July, there will be other set of Theyyam, and from October to November, December, January, there's set of Theyyam. So this is the right time where Theyyam will be commencing in North Malabar. Now, geography plays a very significant role when talking about Theyyam. As I said, Theyyam is performed in North Malabar region, specifically Kasargod, Kannur, Wayanad, and Kozhikode. These geographical features of North Malabar plays a very important role in the evolution of Theyyam. Now, the boundary lines of each Swarupams are rivers. Now, what is Swarupams? Swarupams, in simple terms, they are the territorial divisions of a region that existed during the time of local kings or chieftains who ruled during in North Malabar, Kerala, during like 100 years back, like that. So these swarupams also becomes important in order to understand Theyyam, because they somehow kind of patronized or sponsored Theyyams, and they have particular, these swarupams had particular clan deities, like ancestral deities, and these the Theyyams used to be performing under each swarupams. So Theyyam will also different Theyyams will also come under the categories of each swarupams. Now let's see how these river boundaries forms different swarupams. Like the land between Chittari River and Olavara River was called as Allada Swarupam, and the territory between Chittari River and Chandragiri River was called as Illam Kutti Swarupam, and the land between Kavai River and Vallapattanam River is called Kola Swarupam. Now, Kola Swarupam is very much important because it has played a major role in the origin of Theyyam, and it's considered that most of the Theyyam has taken shape or evolved under this Swarupam. Now, as I said, not everybody can perform this ritual dance or this ritual art form. Only particular samudayas are associated with Theyyams. Now, for example, some of the list of communities are Malayan community, Vannan Samudaya, Pulayan Samudaya, Velan, Anyutan, Munyutan, Mavilan, Chingatan, Kopalan, Vaniyan, and Karimpalan. And there are other several samudayas as well. These are one of the most popular samudayas. Now, these samudaya members and the performer, they're very important when talking about Theyyam, because it's not just the Theyyam performer who should be given, who should be thrown light on, but also the other samudaya members who are associated with the performer. Now, with the absence of these samudaya members, the entire ritual dance would be incomplete, because indirectly or directly their presence is very much important, especially in order to the completion of the Theyyam ritual dance. So now, for example, as you could see in this image, if someone is helping the performer getting ready, like face painting, doing face painting and all of these things, the others are engaged in preparation of the garlands or making the other accessories which are necessary for the ritual traditions. So these every Tayyam members are very important. Their role plays a very significant uh, very significant contributions, and so community plays a major role. And as the presentations goes, most of the Tayyams or the deities or the totem patus, some or the other way, are linked with the community or the history of community or the origin of community. Now, as I said, like there are thousands of Tayyams, and each Tayyams are again classified under different communities. Like, for example, one particular community can play or dance different Tayyams. Like, for example, here, the Vannan community, their deities or their associated Tayyams are like Kshetrapalan, Pumarutan, Vayanattukulavan, Muchulutu Bhagavati, Bhairavan, Bali, all these Tayyams or deities comes, Kandana Kelan, all these deities comes under the Vannan community. Similarly, like for Malayan community, the deities or the Tayyams which are associated are Vishnumurti, Chamundi, Pottan Tayyam, Gulikan Tayyam, Uchita, Kuttichatan, Panjuruli, and like that. And the Velan community, their associated Tayyams are Kundora Chamundi, Dhuma Bhagavati, Kurati, Puli Chamundi, and etc. Now, Pulayan Samudaya, their associated Tayyams are Karim Chamundi, Pottan, Guligan, Kuttichatan, Kurati. Now, it's not necessary that if one Tayyam is associated with particular community, it cannot be performed by other communities as well. It can be performed by other communities as well. So these Tayyams, like these hundreds of Tayyams, are divided under different communities. So this classification will help us to understand the characteristics or the individual perspectives of the Tayyam. And also, very interestingly, within the Tayyam or within the communities, there could be variations which we can see in Tayyam. Like, for example, if we consider Vayanattukulavan performed by Vannan will be different from how Vayanattukulavan will be performed by the Thiyya community. So there will be slight variation either in the narration or the Tottampattu or in the entire Tayyam dance. So regional variations or local narrative variations, community based variations can be seen within the realm of this ritual dance. Also, these Tayyams are classified based on different themes. Themes plays a very major role in Tayyam, and most of the Tayyams follows these themes as mentioned by Balan Nambiyar, Dr. Balan Nambiyar. Like, for example, those Tayyams worshipping forms of connected with hunting scenes, connected with snake worship, those dealing with the ghosts of victims in violent accidents, those pertaining with ancestor worship, and those Tayyam which are connected with hero worships, and then themes which praise the gods and goddesses, which are again associated with specific places. Places matters a lot. Place or a site or a location is very much important whenever a ritual tradition is engaging. And then how Theyyams are connected with gods and goddesses around whom the legends are sprung up. And then Theyyams, which are based on the stories from the Puranas and using the Puranic names but not the stories. So this gives a clarity that what all could be the themes that Theyyam will are based on and Theyyam will be performed on. These are the basic themes, and there will be within these there are very other nuances which could be seen as well. Now this is very important. Before understanding what is Tottampattu, it is important to understand the preliminary stages of Theyyam. What are the stages or steps that are involved in this Theyyam ritual dance, and how a performer gets himself ready or prepared for the dance? Now it all starts from this vratam, acharya, or anushtanam. Now the performer undergoes certain vratam, or he has to undergo certain anushtanam, like rituals before the Theyyam season itself. Like for example, there's a Theyyam called Teechamundi, and whosoever is performing this Teechamundi, whichever Theyyam performer will be performing Teechamundi, he has to go certain rigorous and very religious procedure. Like for example, 41 days vratam he should undergo. He should be celibate. He should be sleeping on a mat. He cannot mingle with his own family members, or he has to follow particular dietary plan. All these things are followed usually by every Theyyam performers based on their whatever Theyyam they will be performing. And then there will be certain arrangements like cleaning offerings, sanctification of the space. Now, when I say space, Thayyams usually are performed in spaces like kavus. Kavu means sacred groves, kshetrams like temples, environmental spaces, dense forests, Taravadu. Taravadu means ancestral home. And these are the spaces where Thayyams usually are organized or performed. Now, it is important for the purification of these spaces. Now, for example, when Thayyam is performed in a jungle, that is the only time that people will come or gather in that space. Otherwise, if there's no Tayyam happening there, it will be like very dense forest and very dangerous also to get into, like laymen or common people. So during Tayyam, they're gonna clear the space for the ritual dance, and then they'll do some pujas and anushtanams, and then those preparation stages will be happening. And then Tayyam starts with the transformation of the body of the performer. Now, this is very important because liminality of a performer or the getting into trance is necessary for this ritual tradition, since it's about all about this spirit worship, ancestor worship. The performer has to he gets possessed by these spirits or ancestor or this daivam. So it is not possible with the original physical appearance. For that, the performer has to undergo the process of transformation. Now, how does this transformation happens is through face painting or body painting, which is called Mugaderedu. So makeup plays a very significant role in transformation. Costumes, different types of costumes are used, like very thick cotton cloth are draped around the body of a performer, whereas there are Thayyams which uses fire. So for that, they usually craft these costumes made out of these tender coconut leaves, and they something those costumes which can be used only once, they should be prepared freshly. Like for example, the costumes which are crafted out of tender coconut leaves, they should be freshly prepared, so it consumes lot of time again. And then there are Theyyams which uses face masks. Face masks are also one of those medium which allows the performer get into the trance level. It affects the cognitive psychology of a performer. And then there are other preparation in order to uh, do the decorations of different elements, like for example, accessories. Accessories here means there's something called pandam, which is a natural torch which should be made. Now there are times where these pandams are attached to the body of the performer, and then the lamp is lit by the fire, and other elements like uh, garlands or jewelries made out of natural flowers and leaves, and or other body decorations which are necessary for the rituals. All these comes under these preparatory level, and as well as these elements or these accessories would allow the performer get into the transformation. Here, once the performer gets ready, completely changes his original body, his authentic body, and transforms into a supernatural character, he then looks into the mirror. Now mirror plays a very important role, not just in this ritual, any other ritual art form or ritual dance. If they're using mirror, it is very important because it allows the performer to completely transform and to drop into the level, the trance state of mind, and then to lose his true identity and get involved into the extra mundane world. So for that, mirror plays a very significant role. And then the performer comes and do the acknowledgement or invocation of the stage or the space, where deity, with the deity transformed body, and with the trance state, he comes and then he takes the blessings of the space and all those things. And then starts the Theyyam Todangal. Theyyam Todangal means start of the beginning of the Theyyam, which is the preliminary ritualistic phase of a Theyyam performance. And then comes the Tottampattu. So I always consider that Tottampattu is like an introduction or an abstract of the entire ritual, because it is beyond a ritual song or a sacred recital. It gives a clear cut layout or a framework of what deity will be performed in time. So before Theyyam is the Tottampattu. So Tottampattu is recited, and then comes the Theyyam. So usually uh, the Tottampattu is of around 20 to 30 minutes of duration, and they are nothing but these ritual songs or recitals, and it's considered as the preliminary dance performance before the Theyyam will commence. And after the Tottampattu, then starts the Theyyam performance, where there is this dance, and then the body movement, hand gestures, footworks, fires, rituals, sacrifications which will happen in Theyyam, animal sacrifications, and then there will be interactions with the audience. I would say devotees. So there's gonna happen this dialogues between the Daivam, that is the living god or goddesses, with the devotees, and then the devotees will seek blessings, and then devotees express themselves wholeheartedly. They surrender themselves in front of Daivam and then seek the blessings. And this is how a Theyyam is usually structured in every place or every time. Now we'll understand what is Tottampattu. Now, it is important to know that Kerala has a deep rooted practice when it comes to reciting poetic compositions in various contexts. Like many of these recitals are very ritualistic in nature, some are semi ritualistic, and others they also are very secular in its characteristics. One of the largest group of these narrative songs and recitals are Tottampattu. So Tottampattu, when somebody is saying that oral traditions or oral histories of Kerala, first thing which comes to people's mind is that Tottampattu. It has taken a very vast place, a very vast position, just like how Theyyam has taken a very prominent position in North Malabar. It is like synonym to the Theyyam. Tottampattus are like synonym. Now, what totem literally means is that it is the appearance or invocation, and in this ritual, and in this ritual, it means it is a propitiation of a god or goddesses, so as to invoke the appearance and blessings of the divine power, according to Narayan Pillai. Now, Totem Patu are those songs coming from within, and they are recited in connection with the Theyyam. And it narrates the origin of a particular Theyyam, that is narrative or the history or the how a particular deity took a vast shape is usually narrated in Theyyam. And most of the Totem Patu reveals heroic deeds of Naduvaris. Like Naduvaris are, in simple terms, they are the landlords who also sponsored and patronized different Thayyams in their homes. So the most of the totem patus they talk about these heroic deeds of these naduvaris and their related people or their contribution in the Tayyam or the deity. There are Tayyams like, for example, Kshetrapalan, Vairijatan, Veerabhadran, and Vadakatti Bhagavati, Porkali, Kalariyal Bhagavati, and other etc. Chamundi, such Tayyams. The totem part of these Tayyams, what they narrate is that the stories of these Nayar soldiers and the battles fought by them against enemies are demonstrated vividly in these totem patu. Now we should understand extensive work has already done in Tayyam. Most of those research works are based on these sociological or the political or cultural aspects of Tayyam. For example, how these community members face the social injustice or discrimination of caste, and then the social oppressions. All these things have been extensively worked by wonderful researchers and scholars. So, similarly, even Totem Patu plays as an evidence in understanding these scenarios or different social aspects. So they also contribute in understanding what was happening in the past, north, especially in North Malabar regions, and Nayar communities, the Brahmins, the Nambudaris, or these Naduvaris, they play a very important role in order to understand the social orders and social uh, histories based on the caste or the caste systems, basically. So they play a very important and very significant role here, and these totem patu also reflects about all these aspects altogether. Now Tottampattu are the vocal recitals sung before the Theyyam performance. As I said, it lasts around like about 20 to 30 minutes, and it again depends upon which Theyyam. Now, there are Theyyam where the Tottampattu takes place like 6 to 7 hours. Now, Papita said in her research, Dr. Papita said she mentions that Muchulu to Bhagavati, which I will be discussing. The totem part for that Tayyam, it happens for 3 days, 3 to 4 days. So again, uh, totem part depends upon the individual characteristics of the Daivam and then the legendary which are associated with that Tayyam. So the term totem is derived from totakku, which means creating, making, or feeling. Well, some other argues that it is derived from the term stotra. So it's very interesting. This is something which I find very fascinating, that how totems are considered as stotrams or the sacred chants for these community members, and usually these songs are in praise of their deities, and showcasing the bravery or the struggles that the deity had undergone, and how that character or that legend has taken the shape of Daivam, and how it plays a very significant role in the society. Now, after totem recital, it is believed that the performer will be possessed by the divine spirits, and he's the performer, the deity, is usually accompanied by 2 or 3 uh, members within the samudaya, as I stated before, to safeguard or to protect the possessed form of deity. Now, I want all of you to again keep in mind that there are different levels in order to get into trance or to have that possessed state of mind. One is the physical transformation of the performer. Another one is actually the totem patu, because when the performer is singing the totem patu, he usually faces the kavu or the deity. There will be like their their community related clan deities, weapons, or material culture will be presented in a sacred space, and facing that, the performer uh, acknowledges and seeks blessings and then starts singing the totem patu. As soon as he singing his the performer is singing these totem patu, those people who can actually understand the language, they can go back to that scenario or that situation. So the performer himself he's putting himself into that cultural memory or that time or that space, which allows him to get possessed or fall into that trance state of mind. So uh, usually what do they narrate is that they narrate the stories of legends, either the song describing how the deity reached a particular shrine, or what was the uh, situation that uh, that legend had to face in order to become the deity. These are the sequences where totem patu usually narrates, and it is usually the Tayyakaran. Tayyakaran means the one who performs Tayyam is known as Tayyakaran. He wears a very basic red costume to embody the preliminary form of the Tayyam. Now, different instruments are also used here, like chenda or tudi. Chenda is widely used in Kerala, and it's also used in North Malabar region, especially for Tayyam performances and all. And even there is contribution of these instruments because of the percussion sound, the beats of the drums and all. It invokes the performer and makes him feel the ambience. So instruments are also playing a very significant key role in this entire ritual dance. Now, there are different types of Tottampattu depending upon what time the Tottampattu is usually sung. Now, Andi Totem means those totems which are sung during night or dusk, and Ucha Totem, which are those totem which are sung during morning and noon. So there are different types of totem, and different Theyyams have these variations within totem. Now, as I said that there are different types of Theyyam, and each Theyyam has different totem patterns, and it conveys these, as I said, these totem patus or these songs, they convey the historical and sociological perspectives, and it talks about the social, cultural, political narratives, and then the social practice and belief system of the peoples are also reflected through these songs. And it also gives a wide picture or of or a visual description of deity. Now, those people who who understands what is, matlab, if they get to understand the totem patu or the myth which is narrated in the form of song, is the same thing what will be danced. Now, for example, if a performer talks about uh, a particular deity through totem pattern, what is his characteristics, origin of the deity, that is performed in the form of dance. And in order to perform through dance form, it is necessary for that visual appearance. So even through icons and iconographies, we can understand how these deities have been correlated. So these totem patu are not just about the reflections of these social dynamics, but also they give us the picture of these visual narratives and visual culture and visual anthropology. Now, totem patu can be used as those narratives which gives a visual descriptions or reflects on visual culture of the daiva. Now, it usually totem includes Varavali, which is invocation, Stuti, a song that extols the deity, and then the Sancharam, which narrates the way through which the deity has arrived at the shrine. So these are the stages within Tottampattu which are followed usually by the performer while singing the songs. Now, as I said, these are the instruments. Now, this was the picture taken during the field visit of the Vayanatu Kulavantayam. Now, the person who is standing here is the Theyyam performer. He's actually doing the Theyyam Todangal, and then he's accompanied by with other Theyyam Samudaya members who are playing the chanda instruments. And after this Theyyam Todangal, he will go get dressed for that preliminary basic dress for Totem Patu, singing the Totem Patu. So he'll just wear color mudi, and he'll start singing. So uh, now we will take few examples, like I'll be taking 3 examples here in order to understand how totem patu works, what exactly these totem patu emits when it is performed. And by the way, it should be reminded that not everybody are accessed for these totem patu, especially people like me. They it is not easily available, but there are some scholars and researchers who have done wonderful job in documenting this totem patu and done extensive research on totem patu itself. They have collected and then they've documented and archived these totem patus. So I'll be discussing 3 examples for this presentation. Now, One of the example is Muttappan Theyyam, most popular and secular form of Theyyam, which can be seen in the entire North Malabar. And Muttappan is like devotee's favorite. Like he's like very dear to the North Malabar people. He plays he's taken a very important shape in North Malabar. And this Theyyam has no time or space specific restrictions. Muttappan can appear anywhere at any time. So it belongs to the Varnan Samudaya. But interestingly, Thiya Samudaya performs the puja rituals, ritis, and administration for Muttappan. And Muttappan is considered as the incarnation of both Lord Shiva and Vishnu. And Muttappan Tayam is known by different names like Tiruvappan, Valiya Muttappan, Vellatam or Cheriya Muttappan, Ambala Muttappan, and Puralimala Muttappan, and so on. Now, there is a specific temple which is dedicated for this Tayam as well. That is, which is in Parisina Kadavu Maddapura in Kannur. Every day Tayam happens here, and very interestingly, after the Tayyam, the prasada is first offered to the dogs which are there inside the temple, and then to the devotees. So this is a very important temple, and it holds a very religious connotation as well. And it is one of the most popularly worshipped deity, especially in the North Malabar region as well. Now, how does Tottampattu introduces this Tayyam, or what is that legend of Muttappan Tayyam which talks in Tottampattu is that the story starts like the story of Muttappan starts like this. So they lived a childless couple who were very unhappy because they didn't had any issues. So they dedicatedly and religiously they prayed for a son to Lord Shiva and Parvati. And even Narada, he kind of passed a requisition to Lord Shiva to bless these childless couples a son. So Shiva and Parvati agreed, and then what Shiva does is that he sends Parvati to Ayangara. Now, Ayangara Mana is a Brahmin household. Mana in Malayalam means money, matlab house. And then Ayangara Mana matlab a Brahmin's house. Now, Parvati takes the form of Kurati. Kurati is a low caste female fortune teller, and Parvati comes in the form of Kurati, and she appeased Padikutti, the mother of this the childless couple's wife name is Padikutti, and then Padikutti's husband was like a local king of that region. So Kurati, who is Parvati, she appeased Padikutti and read her hand and predicted that she would be soon blessed with a son. Now Padikutti was very much happy, and then she, as usual, she went nearby a river for a customary morning ritual ablutions in uh, Tiruvanchira. It is a very popular festival, sacred festival, which is annually performed in the North Malabar region. And there, when she was performing this ritual, she saw this beautiful male baby which was lying on a flower bed. And then she took that child, and then she brought that child with her. And then that's how these childless couple will raise this blessed baby boy. Now, Kurati convinced these Brahmin family that the baby was a gift from the god Shiva, and now onwards they decided to bring him up as their own son. Everything was fine till then, and as days passed, these the Brahmin couple, they noticed a behavioral change in their son, and they addressed this son as uh, Ayangara Unni. Unni in Malayalam, matlab, a small boy, a small kid. So they saw these behavioral changes in Muttappan, that is Ayangaram Unni, and his interest was on hunting and hunting. He used to play with these hunting weapons, or he's always closely associated with uh, hunting weapons rather than learning Vedas or chanting mantras. And it was very unusual, or it was difficult to digest for these Brahmin couples. And then also, Ayangara Unni, he demanded for bow and arrow to his father, and then his parents brought an excellent archery equipments as well. And since he got those archery equipments and all, he regularly visited these jungles to hunt. And then he started uh, showing his interest in fishing, and then he began bringing meat to the mana, and then started roasting this meat in the fire and then consuming it. As we know that the Nambudari family or the Brahmin communities, they usually don't consume meat or intoxicate themselves. But here in Tottampattu, I would like to read it. It narrates that Madhu Mamsa Tinnu Alpa Priyanka Kondu Brahmaswam Paricherenyu Palarikyu Samarpichu. That means removed the sacred thread and offered it to Palari, since he found interest in toddy and meat. Palari is ocean, which means ocean of milk. Now, my pronunciation would vary, since my mother tongue is not Malayalam. I may vary in some specific Malayalam terms, so pardon me for that in advance. So, what is the one of the stanza in this Tottampattu is saying is that he removed the sacred thread and offered it to the ocean of milk, that Palari. And since he found his interest in toddy and meat, he started consuming toddy and then the meat. So Muthappan's action caused a lot of problems and trouble within the family, and then since they had this strict vegetarian practices, it was difficult for them to accept what this Ayangara Unni was doing. So what Ayangara Unni decided is that he started mingling with the low caste communities. He started going with in their place, and then they started living with them to eat and drink this toddy and then food, the meat. And then it was very much against the lifestyle of a Nambudari way of life. And then his parents requested to stop these practices, and Muthappan disagreed with them. And even Ayangara landlord was fed up with whatever these Muthappan was doing. So even Padikutti, his mother, attempted to convince Ayangara Unni to change his way of lifestyle. And but by that time, Ayangara Unni got very much angry, and then he revealed his divine form, that is Vishwarupam, to his parents. Thus, when their parents realized that Acha, he is not a normal being, he is a divine. He has intervention of divine characteristics, and they understood that it was not Ayangara Unni what his parents saw, but was a god with flaming eyes and armed with bow and arrow. It was similar to the act of Shiva. After which, both the parents they got horrified, and then mother requested and advised that Muthappan to relocate near a hillside, particularly to Kunnaturipadi. Now, Mutappan was short tempered and he could not control his anger, so his mother requested him to relocate into a different location. Now, what this again the Tottampattu narrates is that it mentions about his journey. How does it mentions? Mail Pili Kondu, Tala Podinyu, Veda Rajavai Porapettu. That means he covered the head with peacock feathers and started as a tribal chief. He wears a bow, arrow, and churika, which is a sort of a short sword during his trips, and usually dogs accompanied Shri Muttappan and other wild animals were his concepts. As I said, even in Parasina Kadavu, even today, usually in temples we don't allow dogs and all. Usually in north side we see in Kalabhairava temples and temples like that in Kashi, Varanasi, and all, we see dogs lying here and there. But interestingly, this temple, dogs are dwelling inside. They're walking freely and they're residing freely in the inside the temple. So dogs can be considered as it's Mutappan's bahana. It wouldn't be wrong if I say like that. So it's now I want everybody to understand how this totem party is describing about this bow, arrow, or the different weapons where Mutappan is associated, and parallelly we can see that in the visual appearance of that deity as well. So weapons of Sri Mutappan are the sword and bow and arrow, and it proves that Mutappan was a hunter god. The presence of dog in Madapura also validates the same. Now, dogs accompanying him during hunting, even the name of few dogs are mentioned in Tottampattu when while singing. So, these much authenticity or legendary or mythical narratives are given in one Tottampattu. Now, let's move on to the next example, that is Muchilo to Bhagavati. This is again one of the most vibrant and beautiful Theyyam. It again visually it emits lot of vibrancy and uh, aristocracy. It's very beautiful to even see visually. Now, Muchilotu has 108 variation within Theyyam, and there are different narratives. One of the narratives is that it's again a very popular and powerful, elegant Theyyam, and it belongs to the Vaniya community. Now, Theyyam usually performed in Muchilotu Bhagavati Kav. This Theyyam is usually performed in Muchilotu Bhagavati Kavu, and as I said, there are like 108 Kavus in the North Malabar region. Now, the Theyyam belongs to the Kolathiri Swarupam and widely performed in Alladam and Illam Gutti Swarupam as well. Now, the narratives of this Bhagavati reflects humiliation and abuse. According to the Tottampattu, what it states is that this Bhagavati was born as a common Brahmin girl in Perinchallur at Muchulutu village, which is in Muchilutu is presently in Kannur. And she was born as a prasada, like as a blessing again, as it was due to the prayers of her parents. And her real name was Devi Kanya. Now, as she belonged to this Brahmin community, the parents and then the family members, they gave her very good education, and she was extremely intelligent and she was acquired with full wisdom, and because of her knowledge and intellectual identity, most of the Brahmin male scholars were intimidated or captivated with her abundant knowledge. And one day they all planned to humiliate her, And then they ask her a question to test her, that is, the greatest what is the greatest pain and greatest pleasure? Now I want all of you to stick to this question. What is the greatest pain and greatest pleasure? Now let's move on to a slight change within or a different variant of this Theyyam. So the myth of Muchlotu Bhagavati is same everywhere with a slight variation according to the local narratives. Now, but what we need to understand is that the core myth talks about how a Brahmin girl committed suicide due to the harassment of group of people, that is these Brahmin scholars. And it is necessary to keep in mind that Bhagavati was ardent believer or devotee of uh, the Shiva. So she was also expert in Vedas and Vedanta philosophy, and she knew a lot of Sanskrit structures and poetics as grammars and all those. So what happened is that how this she was in this narrative, it is called as she Brahmana Kanyavu, that is virgin, Brahmin virgin. And once what happens is that, again, like how, as I said, these Brahmin communities, they decided to humiliate her. Here in this narrative, her name becomes Uchila, and she was asked a question: what is the best knowledge that a human being can bear? And Uchila answers that experience is the best knowledge, and followed by which is the greatest pain and greatest pleasure. And Bhagavati, that is this Uchila or this Devi Kanya, she answers that Kamarasam, that is the sexual pleasure or is the superior rasa, and uh, the labor pain of a pregnant woman or a pregnant lady is the most painful experienced by a body in a lifetime. So this is what she answered, and keeping this, these Brahmin scholar triggered her own answer upon her. And then what happens is that they questioned her virginity, and she commits suicide. And then while she committed suicide, one young community member will come in order to help her to die completely. And that's how this Tayam belongs to the Vaniyan community. And this Tottampattu narrates the entire story of this Muchulutu Bhagavati. And then there's this it goes, since it is a very huge Tayam, the Tottampattu also takes a very long time period. And this is one more example which I would cut short due to the time consistency. Now, in conclusion, what we have to understand is that how this Tottampattu acts as a oral history. Now, oral histories are widely used as an important sources to reconstruct the history of past societies, and due to understand and also to understand the cultural and social histories of different places. Now, Tottampattu here serves as a significant oral narratives which emit the information about the indigenous people or identity of North Malabar of Kerala. The Theyyam myths are orally transmitted, and hence they could be regional variations in narratives, and also authenticity is little biased when it is orally transmitted. Now, Tottampattu is not just about the stories or narratives of a samudaya. It also gives reflections of the social, cultural, and political background of a past society of Kerala, and brings the collective memory of indigenous group of people. Now, there are mention of ancient and local places, and also it describes about occupation or profession that uh, different samudaya used to follow, uh, and also gives a historical background of society and the people. It also throws light on cultural pattern and belief system of people. Now, totem pato also acts as an evidence. Now, in conclusion, how totem, how totem pato can be considered as evidence, we should understand that first of all, they're very sacred in nature. Not everybody gets access to it. Only the performer, a particular performer, passes these oral narratives or oral songs to another performer, and he has to memorize it. So it is orally transmitted within the families, and Totem Patu throws light on ideological differences between upper caste and lower caste. Apart from the social and cultural scenario, they also very much contribute in understanding the material culture of these samudayas and ritual practices. Archaeologically, how totem patu can be used is that to understand the correlation between sacred song recitals with visual culture and ritual dance, and trace the highlight or trace or highlight the material culture which are mentioned in the songs. So this is what I am doing. Since I belong to the Department of Archaeology, it is necessary to bring in the references of material culture. So I take these oral traditions or totem patu as a source in order to highlight the material culture which are mentioned in these songs, and then connect it with the dance and their visual culture of that particular deity. So this totem patu also gives regional and local plants and their medicinal values, information about floras and fauna and different variations and then species, which are important in understanding the present day geographical or environmental setup of North Malabar region. And then also it talks about dietary patterns, like for example, like toddy, fish meat, or what type of meat used to be consumed, what were the plants or flowers that particular deity used or liked. All these references can be retrieved from these totem paths, and they symbolically and ritualistically they give this meaning in understanding the material culture and etc. So therefore I would like to rest my presentation by vouching that Totem Pato, this way we can understand not just about the social and cultural history of Theyyam and the North Malabar region, but also we can understand how these community members have mastered in ancient local skills and knowledge who are currently protecting these traditions. And they are considered to be the protector of this North Malabar region. And Totem Patu serves as an important oral traditions or histories, narratives, which culminates these inclusive art traditions and correlate with the existing material culture in order to understand the past society or these community members and their lifestyles or vernacular identity of these North Malabar society. I would like to thank all the Samudaya members who are helping me and who helped me in accomplishing my research, which is yet to accomplish also. And also, this cannot be done just with with the help of primary data. Even secondary resources like published and unpublished articles have helped me in understanding the dimensionality of these ritual traditions. Lot of scholars and researchers have done immense studies on Tayyam and Totem Patu, which serves me in understanding or connecting the dots of this beautiful living traditions. So I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to all those Samudaya members who is helping me in doing this research work. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, Ritu, for the wonderfully rich and thought provoking presentation. Your lecture has truly brought out the Theyyam practice. It has brought it to life a world where performance, faith, and history meets in a way that defies easy categorization. And through your exploration of Tottampattu, you have shown us how oral traditions are not merely preludes to ritual but powerful acts of remembrance, how they carry within them genealogies of gods, communities, and places. And you also explained the transformation of the performer from invocation to embodiment, beautifully illuminated the deep connection between orality and divinity, between storytelling and lived experience. So, your talk resonated deeply with the theme of our series, Beyond the Archives. And now, inviting some questions to further make this exploration meaningful. So there are a few questions here, and as we have another lecture lined up at 8, we will wrap up the question and answer session quickly. So we will take only 5 questions. So the first question is from me. You talked about Theyyam as both ritual and repository of history. So, what do these narratives reveal about marginalized voices in Kerala, particularly the traditionally excluded communities? And with this question, there is also another question which is in Malayalam, but I translated into English. This is from Sudeep, and he asks, just a second. Where did Theyyam originate and from, and why is it based on caste? So these two questions are kind of related, and you could answer them together if you like.
Okay. First of all, this is something which I am also currently looking into. Um, when we talk about origin of Tayyam, there are different theories based on these origin of Tayyam itself. Now, different scholarships or historicity, they says that it all started from this fertility cult or mother goddess culture cult practice, and how they were particular people like who were considered to be the folk or tribal people who lived in the Malabar region. They used to worship this serpent worship or fertility worship, especially for uh, acquiring issues like child, like those women who were facing pregnancies, conceiving child or male impotence, all those things. So they started kind of believing in certain spirits and ancestor worships as well. And origin of Tayyam, they say that it belongs to, some scholars they say that it belongs to Neolithic and Chalcolithic time period, which I wouldn't completely agree upon, since I am also currently doing investigating on all those ritual things. And talking about, what was your question, Manali?
Yeah, so I'm putting it on the screen again. So my question was, how does this reveal? What does these narratives reveal about marginalized voices and communities that are traditionally excluded from temple going activities and such?
Uh, First of all, according to my field works and my observations and my interviews with the direct Samudaya members, what I understood is that today, I'm talking like currently, they are very proud to be who they are, which community they belong to. And also, when you see the totem, Nidhi Kati is calling me continuously. I think you are having another lecture. So I'll
Yeah, I'm
just
sorry for that.
finish.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'll just
absolutely.
finish it up. So what I was saying, mm, yeah,
They are
when you
very
consider
proud of.
these totem patu or the entire dance ritual narratives, what we see is that we get to understand how they have become, before becoming deity they were also like normal people like us. For example, in Muchilotu Bhagavati, she belonged to this Nambudari or the Brahmin community. Mutappan also was this, uh, gives emits lot of tribal essence. So these people, uh, it's also most of the works, as I said, they all belong to this sociological and socio-political research base. So what these narratives or these research work they talk is that they were marginalized because they worked under these naduvaris or these swarupams, or these under the landlords, and they kind of faced social oppressions and discriminations. But as far as it, if you see the living tradition or the contemporary time period, I see that these samudaya members are given utmost respect when they are performing, especially by the Nambudari families, and the Nambudari families themselves sponsors Theyyam in their own Taravadu, that is ancestral home, and uh, maybe in past, keeping again evidences of this Tottampattu or Theyyam as sources in understanding the social discriminations and all. Yes, of course, there are instances that these narratives states that they are underwent kind of patriarchal society or social discriminations or untouchability. There's one, this Potantayam, for example, which talks about how this Pottan character questions Sri Adi Shankaracharya that the blood which is running in my body and in your body is the same color, then why do you have to do this social discrimination? So with that we understand that yes, there was a social a caste discrimination, or they were marginalized, they were not allowed to walk on the streets where the Nambudaris or the upper caste people used to walk. In that sense we can understand that these could be the situation at that time. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ritu, for the nuanced reply.
Mm.
Talking about gender discrimination, I also had another question. I'm just posting this right now, and this is for the people also to think about. And if you could just answer it in, it's very briefly, how gender operates
Okay,
in this
yeah,
tradition.
this is, yes. Only male performers are performed in Theyyam. Very interestingly, there's one Theyyam, that is Devakutu Theyyam, which is performed by a female performer. She belongs to, I think, Varnan or Malaya Samudaya. She is currently located in Kannur, and it is in Tekkumbadu region. This Devakutu Tayam is performed, and she's the only female Tayam where Tayam is performed. And recently, when I was reading Papita Seth's book, she mentions that this in Vannan community, there is something called Kutti Tayam also. Like small kids also take the embodiment of deity Daivam. So their female kids are also performed Tayam. That in references was I retrieved it from Papita Seth's research book. And some, when I asked this question to some of the performers, Tayam performers, that why only male are performed, even the female deities are performed by men and not women, why was it? Then they said that female herself is considered as god or deity, so there's no need of another physical transformation of the deity. And interestingly, when I was reading a research article, I'm unable to recall the scholar name. He brings the reference of Durate Barbosa's travel account, where Durate Barbosa has mentioned that when he witnessed Tayyam, there was equal participants of both women and women. Now I have to in order to completely agree on it, I have to first look into the original text of Durate Barbosa and then only opine or claim that statement. But through that research scholar's perception, what I could say is that according to him, he is stating that Durate Barbosa in his text that he mentions that how women were also equally participating in these Tayyam ritual traditions and all. But as the entire tradition has taken up a different form in contemporary time period, it um, Such questions actually brings buzz in these samudaya members within these performers, that why women are it takes a very another deviation like feminism and feminist ideologies and all. So I as a female researcher, I have nothing much to say, but uh, have immense respect for those male performers who takes these Bhagavati Tayam too much serious and do with lot of religious and devotion. That's the thing which I could say for now.
Uh, Thank you so much, Ritu. And absolutely, I understand that how it could cause
Yeah.
a lot of movement, mobility. And this is the last question by Pallavi Malge.
Hmm.
Why do they feed dogs before the deities, and why dogs are so important? Like, is there any particular reason for that?
As I said, dogs were the companions of Mutappan whenever he used to go for hunting in the dense forest and jungles and all. It said that dogs accompanied him. So it is very much, dogs are very much dear to Mutappan. And also even today, if you see some Mutapatayams, dogs, devotees brings dogs into those Tayam space and then ask Mutappan to bless their dogs. And then there are instances during, see, this Tayyam is very much interactive in its nature. It's not scripted. Certain things are supposed to be performed like that. That's how the it becomes a ritual tradition. But also it is very spontaneous in nature. So Mutappan also enjoys when dogs are brought into his Tayyam ritual dance, and then he shows a lot of affection towards it. And then in Parasina Kadavu, as I saw and as I spoke to a few devotees there in that temple, um, as it is considered that it is like Vahana, it's my assumption, like my statement, like it could be considered as Mutappan's Vahanas. And also uh, it is closely associated with the mythology, myth, and also in the Tottampattu and all those things. It's meant taking the references of dogs. This temple allows dogs just like that naturally. And since dogs are very much dear to Mutappan, the priests in that temple, they first offer the prasadam to the dogs and then to the rest of the devotees. That's what I observed when I had went gone for the field work previously.
Thank you very much, Ritu. That wraps up the question answer session. We might have more questions from people who watch this lecture later on YouTube. And if and when we have those, we will definitely communicate those to you and get back with the answers to the viewers.
Sure,
So,
definitely.
the responsibility of proposing the vote of thanks has also fallen on me today. So,
Oh,
from on the behalf of both the departments, that is on both the organizations, that is the History Enthusiast Association and the Department of English, Rani Chennamma University, Belagavi, I thank Ritu and Raj for such a wonderful, colorful, and informative lecture today on the sacred art of Tottampattu in Theyyam. And I also thank the office bearers of both the organizations who have participated and supported throughout this webinar. To Deepak Lokhande, who introduced Ritu in the beginning of this lecture, and everyone else who has directly or indirectly made this lecture a success. All the audience members who have joined us through this lecture and this webinar series, thank you all very much. And just sharing the poster of the next lecture, which is about to commence in 5 minutes. So, yeah, we have another very interesting lecture in 5 minutes. That is by Professor Subhash Brahmbhatt. It is on oral historical examples in the Gujarati folk form of Bhavai. So, see you all in 5. Again on the same platform. Signing out here. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Ritu.
thank you.